The patient named XYZ, 40-year-old female, residing in Andheri, a housewife, came with chief complaints of swelling in abdomen since 1 year.
Okay.
The patient was apparently all right 1 year back when she noticed the swelling in her lower abdomen. Swelling, excuse me, sir, there is some disturbance. Rajat, can you unmute? Can you mute Rajat? Hello.
One complete swelling.
So 1 minute. Hello. So yes, only one. There is one chief complaint only.
Okay. No other complaint. Pain.
No. So pain she described as an associated complaint along with the swelling.
Okay.
Uh, so I've described that in the HOPI actually.
Okay. What comes first in hernia? Pain come first or swelling come first?
So the swelling comes first. Usually the pain is of a dragging sensation. However, if there are some complications in the hernia, then there'll be pain in the hernia. Usually it is painless swelling.
In this case, okay, you have taken, you have made a case. Ideally, in a hernia, the pain comes first and then the swelling. Because first, there you have been during the formation of hernia, there is a stretching of the sac, which lead to the pain, and then later on the well-formed swelling comes. Okay.
Okay, sir. The patient was apparently all right 1 year back when she noticed a swelling in her lower abdomen. Swelling was insidious in onset. Initially approximately 5 centimeters. Now it is approximately 10 centimeters, gradually progressive in size. Swelling increases in size on standing, straining, and cuffing, and decreases on lying down, and is fully reducible by the patient. Swelling was associated with occasional episodes of pain, which was dull aching in nature, which was felt when the swelling increases in size and decreases when the swelling reduces in size. No history of discharge from the swelling. No history of period of irreducibility, stabbing, pain, vomiting, or obstipation associated with the swelling. No use of abdominal belt binder used by the patient for the swelling. The patient underwent an abdominal hysterectomy through midline incision in view of heavy bleeding due to uterine fibroid 1.5 years back. So 1 second, sir. Just a minute. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Sir, there is some disturbance in the line actually. Hello. Hello.
Then continue to use, na? Hello.
Yes, sir. Now it's fine. Yes,
What
sir. So,
what is the content when it is irreducible?
sir, when the hernia is irreducible, there are three concepts possible in a hernia. There is irreducibility, obstruction, and strangulation.
Okay.
Irreducibility is when the hernia sac gets entrapped in the narrowest part of the opening, but there are no other associated systemic or GI complications. Obstruction is when the hernial sac gets entrapped and there are features suggestive of an subacute intestine obstruction, like there is vomiting, there is obstipation, there is colicky pain in abdomen, and strangulation is when the part gets gangrenous.
What is the four symptoms for obstruction?
Sorry, sir.
What are the four symptoms you will see in the obstruction?
Sir, colicky pain in abdomen, vomiting, abdominal distension, and obstipation, that is inability to pass fetus or stools. Sorry, inability to pass flatus or stools.
Okay. And what is the content when it's irreducible?
Sir, the content is enterosil.
In all, if it's irreducible,
Oh, then it
with
becomes
no side.
omentum, sir. The omentum.
What is omentosil and what is enterosil?
Sir, when the contents of the hernial sac, if the contents of the hernial sac are the omentum, then it is called a omentocele. Whereas if the hernial sac is containing a loop of an intestine, it is known as a enterocele.
In a hernia, if suppose both are the reducible, then in which condition the early part is to reduce and late part to reduce?
Sir, in case of an
Omentocele
enterocele,
part.
yes, in case of an enterocele, the early part, the initial part is easily reducible, while the latter part becomes difficult to reduce. Whereas in an omentocele, the initial part is difficult, whereas later it becomes easy to reduce.
You're saying ulta. It's
Oh,
reverse.
sorry. Okay.
Why so?
Sir, reason I don't know.
See, in the omentocele, what happens is the first part will easily go, but the whole of the momentum will not go because it's a it's a full of momentum. In enterocele, what happens? The first part is difficult to go, but once you keep on pressing, the air passes out. And once the air passes out, then it will easily go. So the later part
Okay.
is easy to use in enterocele. Okay.
Okay. Sir, I repeat the HOPI or
HOP is done.
mesh? Oh,
Thank you.
okay. Patient underwent an abdominal hysterectomy through midline incision in view of heavy bleeding due to uterine fibroid 1.5 years back. Patient had also undergone an emergency cesarean section 5 years back in view of fetal distress during the birth of a second child. Hysterectomy, I'll give details about the hysterectomy. Hysterectomy was performed in an elective setting. Following hysterectomy, patient developed a pus discharge from the wound and the sutures gave way on day 2 post-surgery. Hence, she required a prolonged post-operative stay of approximately 8 days. No history of post-operative cough or straining. The patient is a known case of diabetes and hypertension, which are apparent. Yes, sir.
Why hernia has developed?
Yes, sir. So what
What
happened
is
was that, sorry,
the definition of hernia?
sir, hernia is a protrusion of a viscus through an opening in the anatomical wall containing it.
Okay. So why hernia has developed in post-hysterectomy?
Sir,
So
the incision, yes, the incision given actually wasn't allowed to heal properly because of a superadded infection. Hence, a defect developed in the musculofacial layer of the abdomen, which has a weakening. And through this weakening, the hernial sac has come out, causing a swelling in the lower abdomen.
good. Okay, proceed.
The patient is a known case of diabetes and hypertension, which are apparently well controlled on medications. No history of tuberculosis, asthma, or chronic cough in the past. Personal history: bowel, bladder, sleep, and appetite are normal. Patient doesn't report any straining during defecation or micturition. Family history is not significant. Sir, I proceed to general examination. Hello?
Proceed.
Yes. General examination. Patient was examined with due consent in a well-lit room. Patient was conscious, cooperative, well-oriented to time, place, and person. Pulse 74 beats per minute, regular, good volume, assessed in right radial artery. BP 140 by 90 millimeters of mercury, assessed in right brachial artery in supine position. Weight is 80 kgs, height is 5 feet 6 inches. BMI is calculated to be 28, which comes in the overweight category. There is no
Why
evidence of pallor.
hernia? Why
Sorry?
BMI is common in ventral hernia?
Yes. Yes, sir. Obesity is one of the risk factors for development of a ventral hernia, especially in the post-surgical states. Hence, she comes in the overweight category. Hence, she's at a higher risk of development of a hernia.
Okay. Continue.
There is no evidence of pallor, icterus, cyanosis, clubbing, lymphadenopathy, or edema. Head-to-toe examination reveals no abnormalities.
Just a
I'll
minute.
I'll proceed to the local and abdominal examination.
Yes.
Patient was examined in standing posture first. Inspection. A single swelling located 4 centimeters inferolateral to the umbilicus is seen in the paraumbilical region. Swelling appears 8 centimeters in size, globular in shape. It is a single swelling uh, having a smooth surface, and the skin overlying the surface appears stretched and shows no dilated scars, sinuses, or veins. Impulse on cuffing is seen.
What will be scar, no? Because it's an
Sorry?
incisional hernia. There
Yes,
will
sir.
be scar, no? There will be the
Sir,
scar, no?
sir, I have described the scars separately. Actually, what happened was the scar and the incision was separate. If this was the scar, then the swelling has come out from here actually. So the I've
Yes.
described the scar separately.
Okay. Okay.
Impulse on cuffing is present. The swelling reduces spontaneously on lying down in supine position. And then I'll describe the scar. A lower vertical paramedian scar is seen in the right abdomen. It is 8 centimeters long. Margins appear regular and
But it
shows
was a
no gaping.
median scar will be midline scar, no? For hysterectomy.
Sir, it was not exactly the midline, like it was little away from the midline, so I thought paramedian.
In a hysterectomy, it's always a midline scar. In
Midline
fact,
scar.
like old timer surgeons used to take a paramedian scar, but for exploration, not for a hysterectomy.
Okay.
Because paramedian
Okay.
will be difficult to intervene to the hysterectomy. So
Okay.
mostly, okay.
Okay, sir. Margins are regular. The scar shows no gaping and appears healthy. Palpation. All inspectory findings are confirmed on palpation. Uh, the size is confirmed to be uh, the size is confirmed to be 8 by 7 centimeters. Shape is globular. Surface appears smooth. It is located 6 centimeters inferolateral to the umbilicus. Um, Temperature is not raised. There is no tenderness. Consistency appears elastic. Margins are irregular, but margins are irregular. The swelling reduces on lying down and can be reduced completely manually as well. A palpable impulse on cuff is present. The
Which
gap in the
impulse,
abdominal wall assessed. Yes, sir.
which pulsation you said, which impulse is felt?
Impulse on cuffing is palpated, felt as well.
Okay.
Gap in the abdominal wall assessed after manually reducing the swelling is 10 by 9 centimeters.
10 by
Rest of
9.
the abdomen.
So it
Yes,
was
sir.
a huge hernia.
Yes, it appears to be a large hernia.
Okay.
Rest of the abdomen is soft, non-tender, with no evidence of guarding or rigidity.
Okay.
No evidence of organomegaly,
What is
percussion over the swelling and rest.
What is
Yes, sir.
tenderness, what is guarding, and what is rigidity?
So what is first word you said? Tense.
Tenderness. Tenderness.
Tenderness. Tenderness. So when we lightly touch over the swelling, not intending to cause pain, and if that is causing pain to the patient, it is supposed to be tender. Tenderness is
Okay.
the clinical sign of pain.
Okay.
Pain is the symptom. Tenderness is a sign.
Okay.
So then guarding is when we are palpating the abdomen and the abdominal muscles become contract. It is called guarding. as if the abdominal muscles are guarding the inner contents of the abdominal viscera. And
Okay.
rigidity is generalized tensing of the abdominal musculature.
While the guarding, when the guarding and it will come.
So guarding and rigidity is a sign of peritonitis due to irritation of the parietal layers of the peritoneum. There
Hmm.
appears guarding and rigidity.
Okay. So when the obstructed or ventral hernia, then you will feel the rigidity. When you
So
will
in
get this
case of
sign.
in case of a strangulated hernia, there appears to be a gangrene of the intestinal contents, because of which the contents leak out, irritate the peritoneum, and cause a peritonitis-like state, which causes the cardiac and rigidity.
Proceed.
Per- Percussion over the swelling and rest of the abdomen reveals a tympanic note. Auscultation, peristaltic sounds are heard and appear adequate. Rest
Or,
of the systemic examination reveals no abnormalities.
okay. What is your diagnosis then?
Sir, my diagnosis is the 40-year-old female patient XYZ has developed a ventral hernia post an abdominal hysterectomy. The possible etiological factor being a post-operative wound infection. The hernia, the defect in the of the abdominal wall, as assessed by clinical examination, appears to be 10 by 9 centimeters, with a swelling of size 8 by 7 centimeters. The case of an incisional hernia.
Okay. You have not mentioned the content.
Sorry, the
Content.
content being intestine.
Okay. So what investigation now you will do?
Sir, in cases of a hernia, we mostly rely on clinical examination only. However, there is a doubtful case, we can proceed with a USG, whereas the investigation of choice to assess the abdominal anatomy properly and the defects in the abdomen, we can go for a CT scan.
The USG is not required in hernia. Basically, the
Hmm.
CT scan is required
CT
to
scan.
assess what you said, to assess the muscle layer, and
Def-
because it's a huge hernia, so for a surgery plan, the CT scan will require. The other routine investigations will require, which is required for surgery workup.
Yes, yes. Fitness for
So CT
surgery, yes.
scan is required to see the muscles, the centimeter, how much centimeter of the muscles, and to plan the treatment.
Yes, sir.
So what is the treatment?
So, since this appears to be a large hernia, we have to operate, and we'll go for mesh placement. We'll go for hernioplasty in this condition, as if we attempt to if we attempt anatomical repair, then it will cause a lot of tension and the tissues will give way.
What is herniotomy? What is herniorrhaphy? And what is hernioplasty?
So hernioctomy is when we incise the hernial sac, reposition the contents in the abdominal wall, and then suture it. This is a hernioctomy.
What structure?
Hernio, uh, non-absorbable suture. Non-absorbable suture.
I mean, what which structure you are suturing?
We suture the peritoneum.
Sac.
Yes.
Whatever.
So
Peritoneum is a
then
sac, na?
yes. So then in
Hmm.
peritoneum. In herniorrhaphy, we are strengthening the abdominal wall by suturing the various structures of the abdominal wall, causing a strengthening in the abdominal wall by sutures. Whereas a hernioplasty is when we are placing a prosthetic material, basically a mesh, and the mesh takes care of the defect.
Okay. Good. So what is the treatment plan in here?
So by treatment plan, we will go for mesh placement in this patient, possibly by the overlay technique, and we can opt for open surgery. Open surgery is more preferred in cases of a ventral hernia.
Why not laparoscopy?
Sir, laparoscopy is technically difficult actually for ventral hernia. So,
No.
and
Like, in a ventral hernia, treatment of choice is always laparoscopically. Why
oh,
in
okay,
this case,
laparoscopy.
you are right. In this case, it's open is preferred. Why?
So, because the size of the defect is large.
Yeah.
So,
So the size of defect is more than 6 centimeter. You have a maximum size of mesh of 20 centimeter in
yes,
a laparoscopy. So you, the principle of hernia is say at least you should cover at least a 5 centimeter of boundary to the
yes,
defect
on either side. Yes,
on either side. So that's
yes.
the reason. This case, the laparoscopy is not preferred. Otherwise, the laparoscopy is a treatment of like it's a preferred choice of treatment in a ventral hernia if the size of
Okay,
defect
sir.
is less than 6 centimeter.
Less than how many
So
centimeters, sir?
6 centimeters, 6 centimeters.
6 centimeters.
So what are the layer of the mesh we place? You said overlay. What is overlay? What is sublay? And what is inlay?
Yes. Sir, overlay is we put the mesh over the defect of the abdominal over the defect, and we leave a 5 centimeter margin on either sides. Sublay is
Over the
when we
defect means
position
which layer? On which layer?
uh, on overlay we place it over the anterior over the posterior rectus sheet.
No. Over the anterior rectus sheath. No? Over
Anterior
when you
rectus
are
sheet. Okay.
overlay is onlay. You close the defect.
Okay.
You close the anterior sheath. You close first. You will close the posterior sheath. You will close the anterior sheath, and then you place the mesh. That is known as the
Okay.
overlay or onlay.
Okay, sir.
What is sublay
On.
and what is inlay?
So inlay is when we are suturing the mesh just around the defect, and we are not leaving any margins around it. That is inlay. And sublay is when it's a posterior approach repair, and we put the mesh behind the defect. That is, we put it over the muscle.
We put it behind the muscle in the
Behind
posterior
the muscle.
rectus sheath. Between a posterior rectus sheath and muscle, if we place, it's known as a sublay.
Okay, sir.
And if you are placing a mesh in a pre-peritoneal place, means
Hmm.
we are putting a peritoneum down and we are placing a mesh
Intraperitoneal.
into the inlay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, ठीक है, चलेगा. And anything else to discuss on ventral hernia? What are the type of meshes we put?
Yes. Sir, we have two types of meshes broadly, biological mesh and a synthetic mesh. Synthetic mesh can be further divided into absorbable and non-absorbable. Of course, for hernias, we will prefer non-absorbable meshes. Non-absorbable meshes can be plain or composite. Plain meshes are like sheet-like or net-like, and composite mesh is one which has two layers. The outer layer is made up of proline, whereas the inner layer is some which does not elicit fibrosis reaction, so that it doesn't lead to adhesion formations when placed intraperitoneally.
Where we use this mesh?
Composite mesh is used when we are repairing through when we want to place an intraperitoneal mesh, we will use a composite mesh.
So when we are doing laparoscopically, basically, that time we use a
Laparoscopy.
composite mesh. When we are doing
IPOM surgery.
IPOM or IPOM plus. What is IPOM?
So IPOM is intraperitoneal uh, intraperitoneal onlay mesh plasty.
Only mesh.
Intraperitoneal onlay mesh plasty.
What is IPOM plus?
So I don't know. I'm not what IPOM plus.
See, when the defect of the hernia is less than 2 centimeters, we don't close the defect.
Hmm.
We directly place the mesh. So that is known as an
Okay.
IPOM. If we are closing the
Okay.
defect and then we are placing a mesh, if the defect of size
Okay.
is more than 2 centimeters, then it is advised to close the defect. So if we close the defect and then we place the mesh, it's known as an IPOM plus. So it's the one extra procedure. That's why it's added as a plus. And if
Okay.
it's only placing a mesh is known as the ICOM. The size of defect is less than 1
Sir,
centimeter or 2 centimeter, then it's not required to place a to close the defect.
okay. Sir,
What,
I
what
have a
you are
doubt
asking?
actually. Sir, if we are closing the defect, then it defeats the purpose of putting a mesh, right? So our intention to put the mesh was that we don't end up closing the defect and cause tension of the tissues. So why are we doing both?
If the defect is like more than 3 centimeter, 4 centimeter, and you have to cover an area of circumference of more than 5 centimeter, so then you should close the defect. If we
Okay.
don't close the defect, so if there is an increased intra-abdominal pressure, then later on the
Okay.
muscle, what happens after surgery, the mesh gets shrink. So that's why we have the principle of threading a mesh more than 5 centimeter. So if
Yes,
the mesh
yes.
is shrink and our increased intra-abdominal pressure, so there will be the recurrence of the hernia. So that's why if the size of hernia is more than 2 centimeter or 3 centimeter in laparoscopically, then we should close the defect. In open, we should close the defect
Yes.
because mesh will not only suffice to the for the increased intra-abdominal pressure.
Okay.
So that's why we use this thing, close the defect.
Okay, sir.
Okay, and type of mesh is done. What suture material we use?
So we will use a non-absorbable sutures.
What are the non-absorbable suture?
Sir, Prolene is a non-absorbable suture. And
Okay.
Vicryl
What
is
is the
non-absorbable.
but whether
Sorry?
we will use Vicryl or we will use Prolene?
Uh, Sir, I think Prolene we'll use, Prolene.
Why?
So reason I don't know.
It's a Prolene is a monofilament and Vicryl is a
Okay.
multifilament. Multi-filament. So the monofilament have the less chance of infection. Anyhow, your mesh is a foreign body. So if it's
Yes.
a monofilament, the chances of
Yes,
infection
yes,
is
yes.
less. And so that's
Correct.
why we use a monofilament to suture this thing, mesh, for the fixation of mesh. Okay. Rest all is done. Na? Okay. Good presentation. Any more
Thank you, sir.
questions? If anyone want to ask the question, they can ask the question.
So there are some questions in the chat box actually.
Okay.
1 minute.
You can tell
Sir,
me the questions.
I will unmute them and they can ask one by one.
Yeah, no issue.
Yes. 1 minute. Yes, whoever has the questions can ask one by one to sir directly.
Hello.
Hello.
Sir, what are the indications of doing open surgery in a ventral hernia? What are the different scenarios when we prefer open over a lap?
If the hernia size is big, so then open is preferred. The reason is sometimes you can't close the defect because it's a big size, like in this. If it's a more than 10 centimeter, so it will not the sheet will not approximate. So that time we have to take a different approach. One approach is now the recently what we do is the TAR procedure. TAR is the transverse abdominal release. So we release the transverse abdominalis muscle so that the anterior rectus sheath comes and approximated. So this is the one approach, or we give a Tanner incision. What do you understand by Tanner incision? Hello.
No, I don't know, sir.
Are you getting me?
Yes, I understand the TAR.
Hey,
Sir.
are you
Yeah.
getting me?
Yes, sir.
So the TAR is the one procedure or Tanner incision. So the lateral to the defect, like 5 centimeter from the defect, we cut the anterior rectus sheath so that the anterior rectus sheath will come to close to each other, and we can suture it. So in these conditions, we have to go for the open. In laparoscopy, to do these procedures is difficult. So that's why we have to do a open surgery in a bigger or large huge ventral hernia. In case of a small ventral hernia where we can easily approximate the sheath, so in that case we can do a laparoscopy. Have you got?
Yes, sir. So generally, what is the size limit when we start to prefer open?
Less than 6 centimeter, we can do a laparoscopically. If the size is more than 6 centimeter, so then we have to go for open surgery.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any more questions?
Sir, is there any role of post-operative stay contributing to the incidence of ventral hernia?
Post-operative stay.
Yes, sir.
If we are doing a laparoscopy, patient will resume early to work and patient will discharge after 2 days or 1 day. But in open surgery, there are like we suture it, we place a mesh, we take a sutures. So there is a little bit pain. Otherwise, even on the other day also, next day also, we can discharge in open surgery also, if we do open surgery. There is not
Yes, sir.
much
Sir,
contribution.
in case of incisional hernia, when there is a history of okay.
Pain is more in open surgery because there is a big scar and we are suturing with the scar and so there is a little bit pain compared to in open surgery more compared to laparoscopy.
So in this, just like in this case, there is a history of sir, just like in this, there is a history of hysterectomy being done. So post hysterectomy, there was a stay of 6 days or 10 days. So does the prolonged stay post-op, apart from the indications of wound adhesion, is it really important for the case that increases the risk of developing ventral hernia in the future?
No. The number of stay in a hospital will not increase the hernia, like risk of the hernia in future. The risk of hernia got increased because we have wound gaping, wound adhesion, and infection. The first thing is that. Second thing is the obesity. Third thing is that there is a etiological source, like patient is having altered bowel habit, altered bladder habit. In conditions where there is an increased intra-abdominal pressure, will lead to the chances of the hernia. The number of stays will not increase the chance of if there is any complication like wound adhesion, increase in the intra-abdominal pressure.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Ganesh, any more questions?
No, sir. No more questions.
ठीक है, चलेगा.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Do the attendance?
Sir, there is no system of attendance for online lectures. No, sir.
ठीक है, चलो.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye, sir.